Hey, and good morning to you. This is Dr. Brian Prax, and today we have a special guest with us. I have sitting next to me to the left a good friend of mine, Valentine Miller from Valentine's Bakery and Meats. And Valentine, say good morning.
Good morning.
Right. And Valentine is going to be talking to us about the proper way, or at least what is encouraged, especially in the literature now, and what's encouraged even biblically, what's the proper way of raising meats. So Valentine's Bakery and Meats. Tell us, how long have you been a rancher?
I guess all my life.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes,
Yeah.
50 some years.
50 some years. And before that, was there a Miller Ranch going to?
Yes,
I thought
my
so.
father, my grandfather.
Yeah. Oh my.
Some of the cows that I have originate from my grandfather and my father.
Oh. So this ranch of yours has been growing and getting bigger and bigger, but it's been in the family for how long are we talking?
Many years.
More than 50.
Right.
More than 50. That's amazing. So you're up in Orange with Valentine's Bakery and Meats, and it says, I'm reading a pamphlet here, our meats are raised all naturally. So grass-fed, and we hear a lot about that, and I talk a lot about that, free range, no antibiotics, no growth hormones, and no steroids. I just have a simple question for you. Why? Why do you go through all the trouble of raising them in such a way? Isn't it more expensive to raise animals this way?
It is more expensive because it takes a lot more land, and land is expensive, and there are a lot more fencing. We have a lot of fencing on all the farms.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So it was pretty cool that, what was it, maybe about 3 weeks ago or so, you took my son. He brought his four-wheel drive out there. He wanted to go four-wheeling, so we took my son out there, my brother from out of the state, his wife, and you took us for a tour. And Valentine, I really appreciated that, getting a tour. I like to know what products, what people I stand behind, what products I'm recommending. We have your pamphlets in our office, and I'm telling you now, I was really impressed with how you take care of those animals, and like you said, with all the fences and the way you care for those animals was just in a respectful way. When we came back at the end and we ended up buying several pounds of meat, my brother got, what did he get, like 30 pounds of meat or something like that. He
Yes.
loved it. I remember peeking into, I don't know how many of these coolers and how the temperature you keep them and how much meat was in there. It was phenomenally clean. I swear I could have eaten off the ground. I mean, it was incredible, the organization and the business, I guess, that you run there. This is clean. Is that something that the FDA recommends? Is that just the way the Millers do it, or how? Yeah.
FDA would recommend it, but
Okay. Yeah.
that's the way we believe in doing it.
Yeah.
We believe in raising our animals the way that God would have us to. We feel we're responsible to God for our animals and for our product.
And that totally shows. Those animals were so fun. I remember that time when you took us through that. It was a group of cows, and you had some young ones out there. Yeah, I swear I think you must have did it on purpose, but you went ahead and did a little turnaround. And I don't know cows other than when they come in the cellophane and they come as steak. I do know the difference between grass-fed and non-grass-fed, which I want to talk about in a second, but this was a funny story. So my son, 16 years old, he gets a Jeep. He wants to take this 4x wheeling, and so we're out there wheeling, and Valentine takes us around, loops around, and we had cows chasing us. And I don't know cows, but I see this big face coming up at me, and I'm thinking, oh my God, he's going to tip over our little Jeep. But what were they doing there? What were those little guys doing? Big guys.
Just checking us out.
Yeah,
Just, I take mineral out to them, salt and mineral, and
Okay.
and they were probably checking to see if I had something there for them. So,
Some little treat there. Well, it was funny, and I remember looking in the mirror. My son was driving. I looked in the mirror, and I saw this big cow head just chasing us. I didn't know cows could run that fast. These guys, and I guess they were teenagers, these guys, because they were hopping and kicking their legs, and I think they saw us as a toy.
Right.
And I kept thinking they're going to try and bump us over. They didn't. They just thought, I think they thought it was really fun.
Right.
Well, we had a really fun time as well, just seeing it. But you're right. You guys have a lot of land, and I assume we only saw just a little portion of
Small part of it. Yes.
How much fence do you have to take care of there?
Many miles of it.
Miles of fence. And then you took us on one of those, and I'll never forget this. I thought it was crazy to see this, but you had two bulls in the same pen.
Yes.
And these bulls they had bald spots rubbed on their head because you said like daily these two bulls would be fighting and gnashing and beating their heads up against each other.
Every day they do, yes.
Every day. That was remarkable. But I guess cows, you were pointing out at one point these bulls were so strong. Was it a telephone pole or something that they literally knocked completely over?
Yes, pushed over telephone pole.
And was that just a bull having fun or trying to scratch his head? What the heck?
Just rubbing his neck there, itching his neck and having fun.
Okay, you guys, he pushed over a telephone pole. If you're just joining us, we're here at Vitality Now. I'm here with Valentine Miller. I'm Dr. Brian Prax. And at Vitality Now, it's all about helping to bring more vitality, more life, and more health into your life. And brought Valentine here with us because he's talking to us about grass-fed and naturally raised and free-range animals. We're just talking about the cows right now, but you also have free-range chickens. All right, and then you were telling me too, I didn't get to see any, but you were telling me about these pigs, and you said, well, you didn't see the pigs in the forest. I might not have seen the pigs.
Right.
Why do pigs need to forage, and so what's the big deal about chickens? I've heard that chickens, the way big agribusiness raises them, and I've seen the pictures where they're in these little tiny cages, and all they're doing is laying eggs, 1.5 to 1 a day, just cranking out eggs, and as soon as they stop producing, they're gone. Why do you take the time and take the land and do all this for your chickens and for your piggies and for your lambs and all that? What's the big deal for the pork and the chickens?
It's a whole lot healthier if the animals are out and can exercise and forage around.
Mm-hmm.
Chickens go out in the pasture and eat grass,
Yeah.
go out in the woods, scratch around, get bugs.
Yeah, yeah.
Since we've had a lot of chickens there now, we hardly have any flies around the place.
Golly, that's amazing.
it
That's
is.
amazing. So they eat the flies, or they're eating the
They-
larvae of the flies?
They eat both.
That's amazing. So we raise chickens too. Actually, I say we, but my daughter does, and she just got 3 chicks that she hatched, and then she got some from the farm supply store. She's got 12, but I think she's got 8 others. Probably nothing compared to what you all have. But I notice an amazing difference in the egg quality from my daughter's chickens, and they're getting bugs and apparently flies and probably mosquitoes and ticks and all that stuff. They're fun to watch. They're easy to take care of. But the difference in the eggs, just even the color of the eggs, it's like sunset color in my daughter's chicken eggs compared to even the best of the best at, say, Whole Foods. Those come out so pale.
Yes.
Why is that? What's this difference in color?
It's what they eat.
Yeah,
They're out, like you say, eating grass
yeah,
and bugs and all these things.
yeah. And so what I've read is that with the sunset colored eggs, they're just amazing. But those eggs are loaded with vitamins, minerals, omega-3 fatty acids, these things that humans and other animals are required to eat. And when they're raised in cages and not able to go out and eat grass and bugs and the things that God intended them to eat, then the eggs that they produce and therefore the meat that they grow is missing stuff, right?
Exactly. Yes.
So, because Valentine, I know that I hear this all the time. I tell people, you gotta get organic, and if you can, you gotta get pasture-raised pork. Pork. You've got to get pasture-raised beef. You've got to get the lambs done right. You got to get them done the way nature intended them to get done. And people will always say, "Yeah, but it's so expensive." But what I think people need to understand is that when a rancher, when a farmer, when a chicken farmer takes shortcuts and sticks them in cages, and you can stack hundreds of them up, one on top of the other, and they're crapping on each other and all this stuff. But when you do that, it's way cheaper. They're taking shortcuts, but what ends up happening is the eggs and the meat and the beef and the lamb and whatever gets shortcutted nutritionally. What I try and tell my patients is this: with regard to health care, you will pay for it. So for you listening, for your health care, for your health, you are going to pay for this. And I tell them this: you're either going to pay for it at Whole Foods, getting the right type of foods, or at Valentine's Bakery and Meats, or at your local CSA, community supported agriculture or at your local farmers market, you're going to either pay for it there or you're going to pay for it at Martha Jefferson at UVA. You're going to pay for doctor's bills, you're going to pay for loss of health, because turns out, I guess we could say that God or nature kind of had it figured out, huh?
That's right.
Kind of have it figured out. Go ahead.
Yes. I think pretty well everybody knows that you're healthier if you exercise.
Yeah.
That's why there's so many gyms, and even though a lot of us don't exercise as much as we probably should, but the same thing is true for animals. They're far healthier when they are out free range and can exercise versus with the cattle, they can have a couple hundred acres to roam in versus being penned up in small pens and having to stand in their own crap and lay down in it as well. It's not what God intended, and it's not healthy for them, and because of that they have to end up treating those with medications and things because of their health.
Yeah.
Where ours have no medication, no hormones, you just raise completely natural, free range.
How about that?
Yes.
You touched on something. I'm glad you brought that up, because you're absolutely right. And it's just the nastiest thing to think that cows are sitting in their own crap. That is not right. That is not healthy. That's not a picture of health. And you brought it up, and I'm a triathlete, you know that, and we talk about exercise all the time. There is no way of shortcutting optimal health. People look at me and they say, oh, well, look at you, you're slender, you're lucky. Like, this is lucky heck, I work my butt off, okay? I work out a lot, but there is no shortcut to optimal health for humans. And animals, we're in the same kingdom. We're in the animal kingdom. Animals need exercise too. And if we're going to eat those animals or or drink the milk from those animals or eat the eggs from those animals or whatever, we better make sure that we're getting good quality meat or eggs or dairy or whatever the case might be. And that's such a good point on so many different levels. We know for sure that humans who exercise and eat well are going to have healthier muscles, healthier liver, healthier immune system. They don't get sick as often, and all the benefits that come along with that. But that goes for animals too. Their meat is going to be healthier when they exercise, just by the virtue of exercising, not to mention eating the grass and doing social interaction and having a happy life. I think it makes better sense to eat an animal, whether it's a deer or a cow or a chicken, if they had a good, happy, healthful life. That's going to show up in the meat as well, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And another thing, when you take those animals to the butcher shop, the animals that come from the feedlot are matted with manure. Their hair is just matted with manure. And the butcher shop said that they like my animals so good because they're completely clean.
Wow.
They're used to laying out in the pasture, out in the grass, and are completely clean. It's so easy to butcher. They say to skin the animal, you have to cut through that mess and to be able to. And when you do that, it cuts into the meat. It just puts bacteria right into the meat.
Oh man, I didn't know what I was getting into today, but hey, if you're just getting into the show, we got Valentine Miller of Valentine Bakery and Meats, who's up in Orange County, and so excited to have him here, because this guy and several other good farmers out there are actually doing it right. And so we're learning here on Vitality Now the importance of optimal meat, and I'm so glad you brought that up. But I wanted to circle back to around what is necessary when other farmers are doing those shortcuts, and they have to go back and they have to do things like vaccination, and they have to do things like antibiotics and medications and all that. All those medications, all those antibiotics are getting into the meat.
Exactly.
And so you think, oh, I'm saving. It's way cheaper to go to Giant, or I shouldn't pick on a particular store, but it's way cheaper to not get Valentine's meat because this meat is cheap and it fills my belly. But this is the sort of stuff that you're getting. And that's why the FDA is saying you got to cook your meat, get it up to 165, 175. You got to practically char the meat, which we know that if it's overcooked, then that can lead to cancerous, carcinogenic meat as well. But that's grossing me out. That's absolutely right. When they cut through to skin it, then they're getting the bacteria right into the meat.
Right into the meat.
Then they irradiate it, and they have to do all of these things just for cheaper meat. Ugh. Oh, that's nasty. All right. So next thing I want to talk about is the price. So have you done the pricing on that? Are you 10 times more expensive? Are you 2, 4 approximately? Do you know where you're at on that?
we're just a little bit higher than other meat, but we're
Really?
very reasonable for
Really?
for the quality of
Yeah.
meat that we produce. We're
Yeah.
very reasonable.
Well, I got to tell you, if you're listening, I mean, if it's twice the cost, it's worth it. Because the one thing that we didn't talk about is the taste of the meat. And my brother, as I said, comes out from California, and he said, man, that is some of the best meat I've ever had. The sirloin steak, I guess, actually tastes
Yes.
like what a sirloin should taste like. You know, you're not getting your chainsaw out and trying to cut this meat up, and it is some good quality meat. And I guess that's what happens when you got good quality meat. It also tastes good. Part of the reason it tastes good is I guess I can harken back to an earlier discussion, is that when Dr. Bush was here, he talked about raising your own garden. And you guys have your own garden out there as well, but there is nothing like a home-raised, in-the-garden tomato. You know,
Exactly.
and it's amazing what it tastes like compared to the beautiful-looking tomatoes at other stores. We go in, we see all these gorgeous-looking tomatoes, no wormholes, perfectly shaped. Man, those have been genetically modified. They've been sprayed, and they grow them green, and then they spray chemicals on them or let them ripen up, because they pick them when they're green, they stick them in trucks. If they picked them right, which is when they're supposed to be picked, you're supposed to pick them and eat them, right? They grow them. These things are like hard as softballs or hard balls growing, you know, sitting in a truck. Otherwise, it would be pasta sauce by the time they got to the store. Well, then they get them into the store. They ripen them up real quick by irradiating them, which is like pretty nasty things to have as well. And then they have this beautiful thing that sells. Now, if you take and notice the difference between like a garden raised tomato, or the one thing that really surprised me years back, I tried somebody's carrots that they raised. They said, here, try this carrots out of my garden, and it had a little bite to it, almost like a radish. And I'm like, whoa, what is that like? And I come to find out that the organic carrots that we're getting are organic, right? But they're bland. And compared to a garden-raised tomato or carrot or whatever it is, the flavor is just astonishing, eye-opening. Wow! And your meats are the same, and
Thank
for
you.
the same reason, right? They're
Yes.
amazing. So for those of you who are listening, I would highly recommend Valentine's Bakery and Meats. And this is not supposed to be a sales thing for Valentine, but I'm telling you, he does a great thing. You can look him up. Let's see, he's got a number here. It's is this a good number? 540-672-1296. And Valentine, you do delivery as well. Do you come into Charlottesville? Are you in Orange, Northern Virginia? Where are you at?
We're in between Madison and Orange is where
Okay.
we're located.
All right.
And you were asking about prices.
Yeah.
I mean, like our ground beef is $5.99 a pound, so
Wow.
that's very reasonable for
Yeah.
top quality.
Top quality.
Yes.
If you're listening too, you can also look them up at valentinesbakeryandmeats.com. So I highly recommend that. What would you say, Valentine? Just a fun part of the show here. What's your favorite part about being a rancher? About being what you do?
I just like
Yeah.
going out, checking the cattle, just watching the little calves
Yeah.
and the little lambs running and jumping, just
Really?
playing, chasing each other, just following each other. When one jumps, another jumps. Sheep, you can put a little stick across if they're going through, letting them out.
Yeah.
Put a stick across. The first one will jump over it. You can move the stick, and each one will jump
Really?
as they get to it. Yes.
I wish, for those of you who are listening right now, I wish you could see his face, because his face is lighting up, and we are actually recording it here. You got to go to my YouTube. But here's a guy who just loves what he does. I mean, your face is just lighting up, talking about like these little guys are your guys. You know,
Right.
you're raising them and taking care of them and raising them in such a way and doing such an amazing thing for humanity and for our area. You have any other stories for us?
I don't know right off.
All right. Well, let's go to the pamphlet here, because probably like other ranchers and other farmers, you do take orders for whole, half, and quarter beef. And I'm going to read through all of this if that's all right. Whole veal, hogs, lamb, and let's see where was that thing I was reading. Where the heck was was that? I saw the whole list of all the animals that you did, and he can chop this out.
Okay.
Grass-fed beef, steaks. I saw where's the list of veal and
I don't know. I mean, we
all
have
the things that you
listed.
do? Maybe just read the top ones right there.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, for those of you who are watching over here at the YouTube, this is what goes on behind the scenes in the radio, so stick around. We're going to jump right back into it. Okay, so here we go. So some of the things that I notice here for Valentine, you do beef, pork, lamb, veal, you do rabbit, chicken, and eggs. So that's quite a long list. I hadn't even thought about rabbit.
Yes.
What's the story with rabbit? How do rabbit stew, rabbit soup? What am I making with rabbit?
Yeah, and you can roast the whole rabbit. A lot of people
Okay.
grill the rabbit.
Oh.
Put it on the grill.
Okay.
Roast
All right.
it like a chicken.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So, well, that's phenomenal. Why would you say in the last couple minutes here? Why would you say that the conventional growers, and that's kind of funny, a name they call it conventionally raised meat. It doesn't seems like what you would do would be conventional, like that's just a normal way of raising it, but I guess
Right.
the way you do it is the weird way, like the natural way, and the way the other farmers who take shortcuts would be the conventional way. But anyway, why would conventional farmers and ranchers, why would they use things like growth hormones and steroids, things like, you talked about antibiotics, why growth hormones, why steroids?
Just to make them grow faster and try and make more profit for them.
It's profit, isn't it?
Yes, it's profit.
Yeah.
The money is the reason
It's down to
behind
money.
it. Yes.
So I essentially, if you can get them to market faster, then you can get the next round in and you can make some more money. And I suppose that, Valentine, I suppose that's almost like, why would a farmer get genetically modified seeds? Well, shoot, if you can make those grow faster, get more yield per acre, if you can, crank it out so you can get 3 crops in a season instead of just what nature intended, like just 2, then or 1, you can make more money. So we've really gotten into this whole thing called an agribusiness, right? It's a business in agriculture, and just like I guess watches and other gizmos and cars, they've really turned it into a business. It's all about making money. And I know you need to make money, we all need to make money, but man, with taking so many shortcuts, we're really shortcutting ourselves and our health and our taste and all this. So the reason behind growth hormones and steroids is just to get them to market faster.
That's the whole reason for it.
Yeah.
And like you say, the way we farm, it's sort of backwards, actually. My son-in-law said he was there helping us gather eggs, and you're gathering everything by hand, and he said this is the way his great-grandfather used to do it. Years ago. He said,
Wow.
I'm on behind, but
Wow.
but we want to raise them natural, and instead of the commercial
Yeah.
business, raise them no medication, no hormones,
Wow. So
free range.
So you're literally or your son-in-law or one of your helpers or you literally reaching in with your hand and grabbing an egg.
Each egg, every one,
Well,
yes.
how about that? And the way they do it conventionally, it probably rolls into some conveyor belt, and it's just like all automated, and they just totally take the humanity out of the whole thing. And I also like, and maybe I'm getting airy-fairy here or whatever, but I also like when your face lit up there a minute ago about how you really seem to love your animals. I know you care for them, and you just really seem to love your animals, and there's energy there. Whatever you want to call it, I don't know, but an animal can feel that. We know that. If you yell at an animal or give it a stern face, I didn't even dare do it to one of those bulls, but I'm sure if I gave it a negative energy, it probably would have given me some negative energy back. You seem to get along with those animals, with those bulls, and there seem to be some sort of connection and communication, and there's something to be said. Maybe we can't measure it, but there's something to be said for the animals, and therefore the meat or the dairy or the milk or the eggs that is produced. There's some good positive energy that would go into that meat. So how do you charge for that? I don't know, but yeah, I think if I were to look at the meats and the products that you're creating, I gotta say it's cheap for what you get out of it.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, hey guys, we've run out of time. This has been another awesome show at Vitality Now. I would encourage you to check this out. You got to see the YouTube on this one. Valentine and I had a really good time. There's a little secret in between, so you got to go to YouTube to check it out. You can see some of those behind the scenes stuff that sometimes happen here. But yeah, you can check me out at YouTube. Just put in Dr. Prax. Go to YouTube and put in Dr. Prax. It's P like Peter, R-A-X. And if you're looking for some more great content, you can also go on to wina.com, and you can see their podcasts up there as well, where we have them both recorded on video and audio as well. And if you ever want to reach me for comments about other topics you'd like to hear about, you can do it through YouTube, or you can reach me at chroniccarecharlottesville.com. The number at the office is 977-5433. You guys have been awesome. Look forward to bringing more vitality, more great concepts and people and research with you next week. You have a great week. Thanks, Valentine.
Thank you.